And 2017 has been a tumultuous year for the Western Cape. And in part two now of an overview of the stories that made headlines there, we look at child murders that unfortunately fell in the spotlight again with a number of killings. A boy died after an ambulance was attacked and emergency service personnel protested for their safety. Train services were also brought to a standstill due to vandalism, and civil society found its voice with a number of massive protest marches calling for an end to corruption and for farm murders to stop.
In April, sports scientist Professor Tim Noakes was cleared on charges of professional misconduct. Noakes, who promotes a low-carbohydrate, high-fat diet, was charged for giving what is deemed as unconventional medical advice on a social media platform, Twitter. He had advised a woman to wean her baby onto a low-carb, high-fat diet, much to the dismay of many dietitians and his other followers.
The obesity diabetes epidemic has been ongoing since the 1970s when we changed our diets. And children were exposed to those diets, and we now know that there are young children at the age of 3 developing type 2 diabetes. Now, when I was a medical student, we were taught that type 2 diabetes occurs at the age of 50, not at 3. Now, that child who developed diabetes at the age of 3 would have been exposed to a very high carbohydrate diet early on in their lives. And their mother would have eaten a high carbohydrate diet during pregnancy and probably was diabetic as well.
In March, hundreds of residents and civil society organizations took to the streets to protest against the spate of child murders across the Cape Flats. At least 5 children were murdered in March alone, and at that time, the number of murdered children stood at 19.
We are here to send out a strong message that enough is enough. From here, the community of Mitchell's Plain will take a stand, and no perpetrator. We will make sure that we will go to court and oppose his bail, and justice will be served.
It's reported that 1 in 3 children will become a victim of sexual violence and abuse before their 18th birthday. Also in March, emergency services personnel took to the streets protesting for their safety. This year alone, there had been more than 60 attacks on paramedics in and around Cape Town.
There was no time to feel. You were threatened, you know you're in danger. You don't know if you're going to come out of here alive because you have the public here, you have the gangsters here, you know there's guns, you know there's knives in the... So the only thing you're thinking of at this moment in time to survive.
The Provincial Department of Health announced a number of interventions, including the creation of red zones to keep emergency services staff safe. Commuters using metro rail services in Cape Town continue to face great challenges, mainly due to vandalism and cable theft. In April, 10 coaches were torched at Cape Town Station, and the Cape Chamber of Commerce expressed concern that the service is at the point of collapse. In December, Metro Rail indefinitely suspended services on one of its main lines that affected, among others, Philippi and Pontevedra. Passengers with weekly and monthly tickets were transported via Golden Arrow buses. Metro Rail says upgrades on its system is underway. In April and August, Cape Townians joined in a national show of civil mobilization, calling for an end to corruption and the recalling of President Jacob Zuma. Dubbed Black Monday, thousands of farmers and civil society members took to the streets nationwide to protest farm killings. It was the killing of farmer Hubert Conradi at Klapmuts in October that sparked the movement. Conradi's widow and her children participated in the mass protest in Cape Town.
I want the people of South Africa to stand together, and we must stand together in love, not in hate. We need love in this country, and we need to accept each other, and only with love and with God and the love of God, of course, we will stop the murder and the hate in this country.
Statistics show that more than 70 farmers have been killed this year alone. On the 3rd day of December, It was exactly 50 years since Professor Christian Barnard performed the first successful human-to-human heart transplant. The monumental event changed cardiac surgery forever and immortalized the names of Denise Darwell, the donor, Louis Washkansky, the recipient, Groote Hospital, and Professor Barnard. A first in the world, but also a show of the exceptional talent that South Africa has to offer. And finally, after 20 years in her adoptive home, it was time for one of the Two Oceans Aquarium's most beloved residents to spread her fins. Yoshi the loggerhead turtle was successfully released off the coast at Hout Bay. At 183 kilograms and in the sexually mature age range, her caretakers believe she is ready to mate. Only 1 in 1,000 turtles survive to maturity, and it's with a heavy heart that she was bid farewell. Yoshi was fitted with a satellite tag and will be monitored for the next 18 months. On Reconciliation Day, she was returned to the Big Blue after more than 20 years. And suddenly, she was free.